The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw Dating, preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star. Now, your hosts, Christy Scales, Aisha Morrison, Nicole Hutchison, and Jess Navarez.
Hello. Welcome into Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys in the SWBC studio. I'm Nicole Hutchison alongside Aisha Morrison and Jess Navarez. We got Tyler Smith that will be joining us in a few minutes. He's running a little late, but it's all right. But no, for now, we're just going to kind of touch on this Cowboys team, what's at stake now, heading into Miami. Of course, the Eagles took a loss yesterday. I saw you said, what did you say? Fly
Seahawks, fly. Thank you,
You're
Seattle.
So
petty.
I don't care.
You are so petty.
I loved every second of it.
I bet.
It was a fantastic game to watch.
The
very end.
The balance.
We needed it this week, right? Like, we needed some zen.
Yeah.
And that was the zen, was watching Philly take a big L on Monday night.
But we cannot keep hoping for losses from Philly. We got to
Right.
keep handling business.
Cowboys got to take care of business.
They got to take care of business this week, next week against Detroit, then the following week against Washington. So, but no, just with that loss, seeing the Eagles, now they're tied at 10-4 overall record, but the Cowboys still hold the top spot in the division. Just how big of an impact is that game? But how much more do you want to see from the Cowboys heading into Miami?
I mean, yeah, we got a big test up ahead playing an AFC team. It balanced out a little bit with the loss to Buffalo and then Philly losing to an NFC team. Cowboys beat Seattle head-to-head, so that kind of evens things out. It's going to come down to, I think, tiebreakers and strength of schedule, if I'm understanding correctly. So, to your point, Nicole, they just got to take care of business. But I did see something. I want to ask y'all. I think I saw that if Dallas and Philly both lose a game, Dallas wins the division or something like that. Am I tripping?
So Dallas they can lose either Miami or Detroit. They have to win against Washington. And the Eagles have to lose one more game out of the next three that they have.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I prefer, obviously, like an NFC game, two of which are NFC East against the Giants. And so, preferably, yes, you need the Cowboys to win out regardless, just to help their chances and to help boost their morale. I think Sunday's game, obviously, is going to take a hit on that a little bit. And now that we've had time to sit and process and kind of watch what happens come December football to other teams,
week to week,
it really comes down to the wire. And so the NFC continues to come down to the wire as far as playoff seeding. But shout out to the Seahawks, really helping the Cowboys out. And we really appreciate that.
It was really dope to see Drew Lock and his story and that interview was
insane.
Yeah, that interview was one of the best I've seen. He seemed so grateful and it was dope when they got the ball. I know. Me personally, I was like, they about to go score, bro. And DK Metcalf was just so huge in that drive. I mean, wait for them to put together a drive. I think their season is still going now. They're playing for their life to some extent too. So good for them and thank you.
That's now three straight losses for the Eagles?
Three.
Yep, three.
They're reeling.
Do y'all think that Jalen Hurts' play is digressing, or do y'all think it's just this team as a whole?
What I think is going on is and this is based off his post-game interview, which I'm sure we've all seen and we've heard. That's very uncharacteristic of Jalen Hurts to come out and kind of talk about his team in that way, but that tells you that there's turmoil going on behind the scenes, not just what you see on the field. And so obviously I think that has a bit of a domino effect with what you're seeing on the field. There's frustrations, there's concerns, and it's not getting any better. They're not winning out of those frustrations and concerns. And so to be Jalen Hurts, I mean, he's kind of playing hero ball right now. And we talked about this a lot, just going back to last season, how that can definitely impact what a quarterback is doing when he feels like he has to be the guy with every single thing that he's doing, chasing the big plays. And so I don't necessarily think it's just Jalen Hurts. It's a whole team effort at this point. A lot going on in Philly, but he gets the brunt of it. Like, that's just the nature and the extent of being in that quarterback position. He is getting the brunt of it. It's just interesting to see how the cards have fallen come the last 3 weeks of the season for them.
Yeah, I mean, defensively, they have a lot of trouble over there in their secondary, and teams are starting to be able to run the ball and move the ball effectively on them. And you see the DC change. They switched to Matt Patricia, told Mr. Desai to sit down somewhere for a second. And then, obviously, offensively, they miss Shane Steichen. He's doing some really good things up there with the Colts, and you're kind of seeing the impact of losing your OC, especially with a young quarterback that's still developing and figuring things out. I don't think that the route concepts and some of the stuff they run are really helping out either, and then they don't run the ball consistently enough, which is weird because DeAndre Swift can play some good football. So I just think they're having you said it the other week, they're having some identity crisis a bit over there. So it's like, quite frankly, I don't care. Nobody cared when Dallas had guys down and stuff like that, and they had their own issues. So for me, I'm just like curious on how they adjust. But even if they do get the first place, how comfortable do they feel about being able to maintain it or to sustain having first place, or that that bye would help them, but that might be the only one they get because they ain't playing.
I mean, if the season were to end today, you have the 49ers that are in first place, Dallas in second, Detroit third, Tampa Bay fourth. Sorry, my fingers. Philly fifth, Minnesota sixth, and then the Rams seventh.
Rams sneaky.
They
sneakily putting some stuff together. Whoever sees them in the first round, I think they're gonna have their hands full a little bit. They're showing some fight towards the end of the season. Sean McVay is out there, got those guys playing hard for him.
Yeah, and now we have a road test for the Cowboys.
Man,
we'll be breaking down this game over the next 2 days. But just real quick, I know McCarthy had said that you cannot be a great team heading into playoff football sitting at under 500 in road games. And so that's something that's obviously a sense of urgency for this team. So how much would a win on Sunday just play a part in, like you said, their morale or their confidence heading into the playoffs?
So you look at the next 3 weeks and who exactly the Cowboys have to play. So we just talked about it. You have the Dolphins, the Lions at home, and then the Commanders on the road. Of those three teams, the Dolphins are going to give you your best matchup. And so I think that's kind of the biggest game going forward. And it's your biggest chance to prove not only to yourself, but the outside narrative that road wins can be possible for this team at the best time that you need to do that to yourselves. Going into the playoffs where now more than likely you're going to be on the road. And we talked about this yesterday. I mean, the cards are falling, a lot can happen in the next couple of weeks, but more than likely the Cowboys will have to play on the road come playoff time. And to be able to boost that morale and that confidence within themselves, get rid of that frustration, and get just that thought out of their head of why are we struggling to win at home? It's something that naturally is going to start eating at you as a human. I mean, that's just part of how your brain works, right? Something happens over and over and over and over again. You start to wonder, well, why? What's going on? So what's interesting about this Dolphins team, I talked about it this morning on the podcast I did with work, with Adam Beasley, who's a Dolphins reporter for PFN. You look at what the Dolphins are dealing with, it's a very similar situation of what the Cowboys are dealing with right now, and they have all season. These two teams are pretty much in the same boat, having the same issues, self-inflicted wounds. I think the Dolphins are dealing with a little bit more stuff injury-wise, but a struggling O-line is what the Dolphins are dealing with right now. So their MO is really going to be who can come out of the gates fast, who can make sure that they win this game, because they both need this win to go forward and boost their morale come playoff time. So to answer your question, I really just think when it comes down to winning on the road, it's a morale thing, it's a confidence thing, and it's a mental thing. Yeah. Get it out of your head, get it out of your system, go beat a good team and get it done. It's end the season on a high note with it so that way you can go into the playoffs and you feel high about it and you can do it.
Yeah, it only takes one. It only takes one in football for you to be like, okay, like this is to hold on to, and to hold on to the fact that, okay, we can do this as far as winning on the road. But then also, too, I think it's important that they win this week and then they have something routine, maybe a change they made this week, something to hold on to that they can carry into the rest of the season and then into the playoffs that they maybe adjusted and did well and they benefited from. Right now, I don't know if they have anything to hold their hat on as far as preparation for road games because, to your point, it hasn't worked out in their favor at this point. So also, too, when you talk about, you mentioned the Miami's offensive line, I think that's going to be a big part of the game. But this is another coach from the Shanahan tree. And I think that's important. A lot of the stuff they do in the passing game and conceptually, they can run the ball. A-Chain is a dog. This defense will get a good test of run and pass. And I do think a lot of the things that they do, the crossers and all that stuff, is similar to some of the things the 49ers do. And it's going to give you a good test, again, against a defense that can be multiple and try different things to get you off kilter. So to Jess's point, it is a good test, and it's important that they go out there and win this game. It's important that they go out there and win this game.
Yeah. Something that we had CJ Goodwin on Cowboys Hour yesterday, and he had mentioned that he felt in his eyes, because he was there at the game on the sidelines, that when the guys found out that they had already clinched a playoff spot, they kind of had this like ease of mind type of thing. Or mentality, and he feels like that's kind of what went into what happened in Buffalo. And he wasn't saying it in like a bad way.
Right.
He wasn't saying
Careful
it like,
now.
yeah, he wasn't saying it in a bad way. He was just saying that, I feel like, they just went out a little bit too loose, and that kind of trickled down into what happened.
So they
into
did
the
know.
game.
Because they said,
that's what he said.
Coach McCarthy said that they didn't know.
I'm just going by what I was told.
know,
What he had told us
I don't know,
yesterday.
man.
He said that
I'm just here
apparently
to
they
talk
knew
football.
this.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I'm just relaying what happened on Cowboys Hour yesterday. You can go back and listen to the
don't get mad
episode.
at Nicole.
I'm gonna say, I'm listening to the episode from yesterday. If y'all want to go back and listen to it, but that's what he said. He said that everybody has their phones. They found out before the game that they had found out about the playoffs. So I don't know, but regardless, I think that now that that's kind of happened, we have already clinched that playoff spot. I feel like now they can go in and just kind of have that ease of mind, like he mentioned yesterday. It'll be easier, with that type of stakes.
I also think, too, from talking to the guys in the locker room before the game, they weren't just happy with clinching a playoff spot. So, from what I heard and talked to multiple guys about is they want the number 1 seed. So it's not like they're clinching the spot, in the postseason, then letting off the gas, being like, oh, whatever happens, happens.
100%.
Yeah, and that's what you're
100%.
saying, right?
100%.
And that was the vibe I got in the locker room, is they said, look, even if we clinch the spot, because at that point there was like 8 different scenarios that could happen, even before the Cowboys played, and that's what ended up playing out. But they still want to fight for that number 1 seed, although now with the loss it's very, very, very unlikely. They're not just going to let up, because now at least at this point you can still be in contention for at least staying at the top of the NFC East, depending on what Philly does, how things work out there. But all you need to worry about now is winning. Win out the rest of your season, end it on a high note, and get this horrible taste out of your mouth from this loss, because at this point it's just going to be very interesting to see. You saw the response post 49ers in week 6, I believe, and look what happened from that point
And that
on.
was really from a lot from the offense,
pivotal.
and we're looking for a response mostly this time from the defense.
So to put the ball in their court, and I know that's such a weird analogy
There you go
because
with your puns.
we're talking about football, not basketball, but to put the ball in their court of how you're responding is going to be vital and huge to tell you what kind of unit you're really working with in this team. And so, like you said, Aisha, the offense stepped up, corrected their mistakes, figured it out. This is really on the defense now, and I think special teams needs to do a little reflecting as well going into the next few weeks.
Put the ball in their field, maybe.
In there, balls in their field, I guess.
I was trying.
You know what I mean. You know what I mean, guys.
I was trying. All right.
I appreciate it. Really, I appreciate it.
We're going to go ahead and take our first break. You're watching Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys. We'll be right back.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby. The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like Well, like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that 6th ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
NFL Pro Bowl games are taking over Orlando, and the roster is up to you. Cast your ballot for the 2024 Pro Bowl games. Vote and send your favorite Cowboys players to compete in the ultimate AFC versus NFC showdown this February. Vote now at DallasCowboys.com/vote. And you know what? There's someone here that I think you should definitely vote for.
Dog, you look so big.
I know, why so tall walking in here
the
like
locker
that?
room, you look big, but in the studio, you look.
I mean, this room is like quaint. That's like the best way I can describe it.
There you go.
We got Tyler Smith in the crib or in the podcast studio.
It's a crib.
Excited.
This
Crib,
is for you.
studio,
Same thing.
or in the stew.
He's here. In the
He's
stew.
here.
He's
He's
here.
here.
He
Hi.
arrived.
Yes.
Welcome.
How are you?
Doing great. I mean, I'm
So
here,
excited.
blessed and highly favored.
Okay.
Oh.
How y'all
word.
doing?
Hey,
We
man.
good. We good. I mean, let me just start off with this. We're not going to dwell on the Bills game too much, but just how's the mentality within the team now that you're kind of turning the page at this point of this?
I mean, the guys are definitely still determined. I mean, it's always part of sport. You know, obviously, you know, you're going to have those days where you don't get that result that you want. But, you know, we got a great season still ahead of us. And, you know, you got to look to the Dolphins and just handle business there, I feel like. But definitely something great to learn from. I mean, adversity always helps people grow. So definitely something great to go through for sure.
What was something that you learned out of this game?
I mean, just to stay in it. Like, I mean, that's one of the toughest things, you know, when things aren't going your way. And, you know, you're fighting from behind, which is something that, you know, you can apply from any level of your football journey, you know, high school, college, is to just stay in it. Like, keep on, you know, forging forward to win, you know, and when you don't get the result that you want, don't shut down. You know, don't point fingers. You know, don't look for anybody to blame. You know, look at yourself and, you know, say, what can I have done better? You know, what could I have done to, you know, affect this result? You know, how can I move forward in the future to ensure that, you know, we don't got to feel that way again, you know?
Yeah, we got Pastor Tyler Smith in the
Yeah.
I know. I'm like,
Hey,
dang,
talking.
spitting bars today.
Okay.
Okay, okay.
Small knowledge.
Okay. So one of the other gentlemen that's on one of the other podcasts, he mentioned that he heard Mike Solari the day after, just still hyped, like excited. New offensive line coach, new feel, I'm assuming. Can you talk to us a little bit about Mike Solari and just kind of what he's brought to this room? And because we've seen improvement from you too. I just want to hear your thoughts on him.
So, like, Mike, I mean, best way to describe him is just energy. Like, he brought a whole different feel to the O-line room. I feel like he's probably, like, the way he coaches, like, the way he keeps everybody involved is probably one of the most dynamic things I've been a part of in a room. Because, you know, when you're absorbing so much information and it's being told to you in the same way day and day again, like, it can get kind of monotonous at times. And at least, like, I can definitely say the way Coach Philbin used to kind of talk to us, like, you kind of be in there and you're listening and it's great information. Like, the quality information is the same, but the way he's conveying it to you, like Mike Solari, like Mike, he'll just, like, out of nowhere just start slamming on the table and, like, yelling, going like, hey, like, making sure, like, we're involved, like. And, like, it's just so different. But, like, you know, he's great about writing stuff on the board, always having our reminders. Like, such an energetic guy. Like, I could tell, like, you know, just, you know, one of those quintessential, like, great dad guys. I'm like, you know, this guy's a great dad. Like, when I just hear the way he talks to us, like, when I see some of the stuff he does, I'm like, man, it's funny, but, like, it really does have a purpose. And I felt like it has kind of changed the energy of the room for sure. Like, it was a big difference from last year.
Thank you for that.
That's awesome.
problem.
So, It's so funny because the second-year players on this team, I think, hold such a special place in my heart because it was our rookie season last year, too. So we were kind of learning the ropes together, getting in the scrum together. And I remember last year, you and I had talked, and I just relate so much because I feel like this year there's just a different confidence when I talk to you. Even in the locker room, talking to you now, it feels like your shoulders are up, just very confident. And year two jump is a term we use in football all the time. But tell us about what the year two jump really meant for you coming out of your rookie season going into this year.
I mean, I feel like after the first season, at least, like a huge understanding was kind of gained for me in terms of just like, how will an NFL season really be? Like, what are some of the things you're going to go through during the NFL season? How will your body feel? How will your mind be like throughout the year and stuff like that? And so, like, I feel like for any rookie who's coming, or for anybody who's coming to a new job, a new space, meeting new people, like there's some anxiety that goes along with that. Like, you're kind of anxious because you're like, man, like, what's going on? Like, I'm here to do a job. Like, how people are going to feel about that.
Yeah.
And then, the expectations that are being, placed upon you, like, you understand them. At least I understood them, and, I was ready to commit to them. But I still had so much to learn. Like, at times, like, you'll make mistakes, and, like, it's just one of them things where you really got to have a mindset where, I just got to move forward. Like, even mid-game, like, if you just did some completely off-the-wall goober stuff, like, in the middle of the game, and you're just like, you're like, wow, like, man, like, that shouldn't have happened. But you just got to move forward. And so it's definitely just a matter of stacking things. And going into that second year, like, I understood so much more in terms of, how I had to improve my body in the offseason, where I had to get more mentally adept at, understanding certain concepts and things of that nature as we went on throughout the season. And so I was just able to, it slowed down for me a lot for sure, like understanding the cadence, like having those nuances, because there were times last year where, we got our terminology in football and the stuff, everybody does, but, they say something in the huddle from like 2021, and I'm like, what does that mean? Like, and so we're running to the line, and I'm just like, I'm in my stance, and I'm like, I still don't really know what that meant. And so, I do what I do and get back to the huddle, and somebody may be looking at you funny, like, dude, what were you doing right there? Like, and you're like, bro, like you said that, like, I don't know what that means. And he's like, yeah, that's from last year, that's on us. But, coach is going to let you know anyway. He's going to be like, yeah, you got to be locked in there. Like, that's because everything that's in a playbook, like, you're expected to know. But there are some things that, aren't in the playbook all the time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so, like, they know that stuff and I don't. But just, like, learning little stuff like that, like, it really does, like, mean the world. And just, being more comfortable in terms of, having that year of competition up under your belt for sure.
What has been the most challenging thing for you from run blocking as opposed to pass blocking? Because I know out of Tulsa, you were dominant in the run blocking, came in. You're obviously one of the highest graded guards in that area. But pass blocking, I think you're 36th graded guard in the NFL right now. But just talk about one of the challenges with that.
I mean, definitely, there's nuances to everything. And pass blocking, run blocking, coming into the league, like, a big critique on me was, he gets penalties and things of that nature. And so I had to learn how to improve my hands. I had to learn how to strike and things of that nature. And something you always try to avoid in the league is becoming stigmatized, I feel like, because everybody in this league holds. Like, it's no secret. Anyone who turns on the TV, everybody holds. And, I might rant right now, but
go ahead.
Things are obviously not being called fairly.
Yeah,
and so I take that as a challenge to myself, because when you really break down the tape and you really see what's going on, like these PFF grades, and, all respect to PFF, they do what they do. And I guess they do it at a high level. But you get one penalty, right? Like you get a holding flag or something, and so your pass grade is now like from an 80 to a 36 off one play. And nobody else, like, I understand it. Like, that's why you can't dwell on these things. Like, you can't dwell on these grades and stuff, but it's something that you just have to improve. You got to be like, how can I get my hands inside tighter? How can I get to my fits faster? How can I avoid, him not liking what he sees? Because what somebody else does, I obviously can't do. Like, and that's just part of honing in on your craft, just understanding. And obviously, I may have to dial dialogue with some people, like, and really talk to them and be like, hey, bro, like, I'm just trying to understand as a player, trying to, perfect my craft and be at the highest level of the game. What do you not want to see from me? Because it's obvious, like, I'll name an example right now. First time we played the Eagles, game-winning drive. They call a false start on me for getting a good jump off the ball. The tackle was slower than me. I got off the ball faster than the tackle. And that's a penalty. That's a game. That's almost a game-breaking penalty. So now instead of being at the 6, we're at the 11, and then a sack. So instead of being at the 11, we're at the 17. And so it's just like things of that nature. But Lane Johnson gets a good jump off the ball every time, right?
Oh, Lordy.
Sometimes he false starts.
Don't get me started.
Sometimes he false starts a lot.
Yeah.
Jordan Mailata false starts a lot sometimes. And I'm not even trashing their craft. That's part of the craft. Like
it is a part of the craft.
Getting a good jump off the ball is part of being a good O-lineman, right?
Yep.
And so when they do it, penalty flags don't come. But when I do it, you throw a flag on me. So it's just like, I'm kind of looking around like, I'm trying to be the best in this game, right? Like, you're trying to be the best at the highest level of what you do.
Right.
Maybe I need to dialogue with them so that, they understand, this is part of my craft as well. Like getting a good jump off the ball, this is something I do. Like, being a little stronger than guys at times is something we do. And so it's just part of that, but definitely just improving your craft. And it's something that, I'm just going to keep on up in my level so that, the extenuating factors don't matter. But, yeah, that's definitely one of them for sure. And, I can rant all day.
No, you're good.
We're like,
I'm not going to do it.
No,
but
we've been asking for consistency in that department for a minute. And if we being 100, I watched the film, and the one that you had this game might have been some BS too. But we're not gonna go there.
No, it's keeping it honest, keeping it honest to what everybody's saying, and keeping the conversation open. It's there.
It's funny that you talk about your hands because I nicknamed you coming out of college. I nicknamed you Paws because your hands.
Look at those things.
Are insane.
And Tyron got big hands. He got bigger hands than me. I'm like, whoa.
Speaking of, this is not my question, but are the grunts and stuff real?
Yes. Very authentic.
Very authentic.
Like they're powerful sounds.
Speaking of that big guy. One thing I've seen y'all be very successful in this year that I saw some last year, but more this year, duo and combo blocks are really something that y'all are doing effectively. Can you explain to the people why those are effective, how they help out the offensive line, and just what you enjoy from them? Because it seems like y'all enjoy doing it.
I mean, I feel like the most important thing, establishing a run game in football is always super important. The run game is built off of these double teams and combo blocks. And so just, establishing that physicality is another thing. Like, in order for the pass game to get started, it's important to establish a good run game because then the defense has to, condense the box or spread the box out depending on where they feel like they're getting attacked at. And so with Tyron, just being able to just knowing the way he plays, like he's such a physical player. Obviously, like we all know the dude is gonna be wearing a gold jacket when it's said and done. And just being next to him and being able to understand the nuances of it too. Because I played left tackle for a very long time. At least, well, I ain't gonna say very long. It's probably like 5 years. When you're really taking down junior year, senior year of high school, and then 3 years of college, first year in the league. So about 6. So I just, I understand like at times where I'm like, damn, my guard kind of left me out to hang right there. Like, and so, I'm knowing how he's going to approach the block. Like, I know, in this duo block, if I stand him up, like, Tyron's going to be crashing at 100 miles per hour. Like, he won't be able to hold up. And so I think that's where that knowledge of playing both positions is really come in handy. And just getting vertical on guys is great, too, because picking up 4 or 5 yards, if you get 4 or 5 yards every time, your OC head coach offense is not going to be unhappy with that. I'm telling you, like just advancing the ball, but definitely just, being able to have that year of continuity up under our belt, being able to have a full training camp together and stuff like that has really just been great for that.
And so looking back at the last 2 years and really reflecting on your journey, a lot's changed since last year. Mike's now calling the plays, and you have a new OC. That's all trickling down into Dak Prescott's best football. What has it been like for you to see how Dak has really just upped his game and taken the initiative to do that, just working around him and with him, and what pride do you take in being able to protect him each and every time you're out in the field?
I mean, I take a lot of pride in that because, the success of the offense, Dak's success, I mean, that's always the type of guy he's been. Like, regardless of what, the media is always going to talk, and I never watched the media, but just seeing people being able to see how elite he is on, the highest stage, in the world is just crazy to me. You take a lot of pride in being part of that. Like, the way we play is a direct representation of how the offense runs, whether it be rushing, passing, et cetera. And so you just take a lot of pride in seeing, like, him being able to be elite. Like, we want to keep that going. We want that consistency. We want that continuity. So we know each and every week, like, we got to keep upping our standard. Like, the standard is never going to change. Like, and if anything, it should only get higher. And so, that's something that we want to continue to trend on because we know what type of player he is. Like, when he has the protection he needs, when he has the time he needs, when we're keeping the, the completions and rushes, that the percentage that they need to be, like, we know what type of team we can be in. So that's something that, we're definitely going to keep going. And, it's just, it means the world to see, like, how much, adversity he's overcome, not only in his, career, but in his life as well. And just for him to be able to be, at the elite level he is right now, like, it's just, it's a great thing to see for sure. It's just like, one of his teammates and stuff.
When I first got here, maybe the first or second week, I had asked you, how much potential do you feel like this offensive line can have? And you said, I feel like we can be the best offensive line in the NFL. How much, and I know you guys had a hiccup this week, but you guys have been pretty solid the past 5 weeks before this Buffalo Bills game. How much closer do you feel like you guys have gotten to that point of being one of the best offensive units in the league right now?
I mean, it's crazy to say because, the goal is, to show up each and every week. Like, I feel like that's what it is. Like, consistency is the name of our game. Like, you obviously, what we do isn't measuring in stats, but just showing up week in and week out, we've seen what we can do. Like, it's on tape. And it's just, it's a matter of us, showing up and just doing that consistently. Because when we do that consistently, I don't think, there's not many people who can play with us. And so just continuing to improve, continuing to harp on the fundamentals. And it's something that you can never really get bored with. It's something that you're always trying to seek out. Like, 'cause, as you play, like, you'll find something that works for you, and then you'll have to make it better, right? Like, it's like anything. It's an evolving game. Players get younger, players get better, like things of that nature. And so we're always on that edge. Always looking to what can we do better, this little much more, so we can just be that best offensive line in the league. Because everything is it's a game of inches, like and we're really looking for what separates us. And I feel like the things we do well, we got to keep doing well, and the things that we need to do better, we're obviously going to work to do better for sure. And so I feel like that's really just part of it is, attacking it every week. So
I think so. TJ Bass is a gentleman that I was coming out the draft. I was so surprised that he wasn't drafted. He gave up no sacks, no pressures last game, had to step in last minute. You've played the guard position clearly. Tell me some of your favorite things about him and what he is as a player, because I know y'all look across and be like, "Oh, this dude can play." So, what are your thoughts on him?
And so, Amber Garcia, she's another like one of our like reporters and whatnot. She actually asked me at the end of the preseason. She was like, "Who do you think, the most improved guy? Who do you think is taking a really big leap at a training camp?" And I was like, "Yeah, TJ Bass for sure." Like, because bro, he's so sturdy. Like, TJ's one of the sturdiest guys I've ever seen. Like, he's sturdy. He has that rigid athleticism that you need in the inside. Good base, like good core strength, stability, recovery is phenomenal. For a guy who's as stout as he is, as stout build he is, recovery is just phenomenal. And he's really solid in the run game. Like, he moves people well. Like, he's able to get impact on the first level and move up to the second really well. And so he's just really like, he's really taking that leap. Like, he's one of those guys. And I think those are just some of the factors that make him special is just, that recovery, strength, balance, and, like his body composition. And so he's really, he's really good.
Something that I've heard you talk a lot about is just how mentally you stay prepared. And another reoccurring theme within this team is the why and what your why is. Obviously, it's no secret wearing a star on your helmet. You get a lot of scrutiny, you get a lot of backlash, and it's not always pretty. How do you make sure that you stay mentally kind of locked in when the noise is loud on the outside? And I was creeping on your Instagram a little bit, and I saw a post you made about your mama. And I figured that's one of your whys. But who keeps you going? What keeps you going to drown out the outside noise and just stay focused and locked in?
I mean, my family is for sure, a huge proponent, everything I do. I do everything, for my brother and my mom. I remember, football has given me so much, right? Times were not always as, great as they are now. And so I'm just so appreciative of the opportunity I get. And when I got drafted, it was one of those things where I was just like, you never know how you feel, like, until, until it happens, right? And so you're like, and you see so many guys who have been in the same path of life that you are, who are on the same journey that you are, and you're like, they get drafted. What are you gonna do with that opportunity? So when I got drafted, I thought it was gonna be highly emotional, which I was, but not in such a expressive way. Like I didn't really cry, like I didn't, and I was emotional, so I was like, damn, like I might cry, but I was like no tears. And so I was just like, man, how can I make the most of his opportunity? Like, I've been blessed enough that, I grew up in Fort Worth, went to North Crowley. Yep. I've been around this my whole life, and now, I'm my hometown team's number one pick. Like, it's just a dope feeling to have, and I'm just like, but this isn't where it ends. Like, we're just getting started. Like, the NFL is like, this is the highest level of sport, but it shouldn't be your ending point in terms of like who you want to be. Like, I made it, so it is what it is. And so I was just like, I really want to make the most of this. I want to be the best I can be. I want to attack this the right way. I got all the right guys to learn from in my room in terms of how to conduct yourself as a professional and how to be a lead at this game. And, at my part of the game, at least, offensive line and, Zach and Tyron and, Biage and so many others. And so I just really like, there was some adversity coming out of high school. Like I didn't have a lot of offers. I had a big surgery. A lot of people, from my point of view, lost faith in me. I was like, dang, like I was third team All-State. Like I was, I can ball. Like it's on tape, I can ball. But coaches, smile in your face. Take the picture, exchange handshakes, and then they go back to the boss man. It falls through. And so Tulsa, they gave me the opportunity. And for such a long time, I used to just be. Like, I was nervous to come out of Tulsa because, I did all I did at Tulsa, never missed a game, did all these things to, prove, or not even prove, but they were just things I felt like I had to do. I felt like that's what came with the deal. And then coming out, I was like, man, is the NFL going to take me seriously? Like, all these people have had these criticisms of me and, how they think my play is or, who they think I am or how good they think my school is. And, you got to take that leap of faith. Like, I was like, I don't have a degree. Like, my coaches told me. And that was the hardest part. Like, your coaches tell you, like, all these things that are kind of, stacked. Some things that are kind of stacked in your favor, but then they tell you, like, but this, and that. Like, you're so young. Like, you got years left. Like, you could, like, what I'm hearing, you'll be here. Like, when you could be here. And so, like, hearing mine and a young 21-year-old dude's mind, you're just like, damn, like, what am I doing? Like, what should I really do here? Like, am I making the right choice? Like, and, your mind can get flooded with doubt, but, I have faith. And, one thing I will say is, like, I talked to my friends, but I probably called everybody. I was like, should I stay in college? Should I transfer? Like, should I go to the NFL? Like, what should I do? And, like, people were like, yeah, bro, like, you can stay in college. And then people were like, and people were like, oh, bro, like, they're tripping. Like, go to the NFL, bro. Like, what are you talking about? Like, bro, I'm telling you, like. And then other people were like, yeah, bro, like, why don't you just, you're already at Tulsa, this, that, and other. And so, like, it was a hard decision, but, like, eventually, like, one day in the middle of the night, I left, like, just drove off. And I was like, this is what I got to do. And so, that was just part of my journey. And I was like, I stuck with it. I was like, I'm gonna make the most of this. I'm gonna do what I got to do. And, I want to be one of the best to ever play this. Like, I truly do. And so, it's up to each player, to really give all that you got to, because there are a lot of distractions. Like, a lot. Like, you give any 20-year-old like millions of dollars. See what they do.
I'd be forgetting you're a nugget like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, give anybody $1 million, see what they do with it. So,
Not really.
And so I was just like, just keep the main thing is what I say. Like, a roundabout way of getting to the, the final answer. But just keep the main thing.
We heard you.
I love that.
We were listening.
Well, we had a great time chatting with you. I know Jazz over here in my ears, and we got to take a break. So, but no, thank you so much for hopping on. We are rooting for y'all this Sunday.
Big game.
We need a win. We're going to get a win, though.
Yes,
but all right, we're going to take a break real quick. You're watching Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys. We'll be right back.
All right.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that sixth ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
You know that sound anywhere. It's the crisp crunch of that first nacho chip. With its perfect cheese to sour cream ratio sitting atop a layer of delicious beans, it's a sip away from perfection. That's what we're looking for. Add a delicious, refreshing Pepsi and we've achieved absolute nacho nirvana. Because while you can pile those nachos high with every spicy, cheesy, savory topping, there's no topping a cool Pepsi finish. Nachos, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
DeMarcus Lawrence is the Dallas Cowboys nominee for the 2023 Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award presented by Nationwide. Help Tank raise funds for Dak Prescott's Faith Fight Finish Foundation by casting your vote on NFL.com/Man of the Year or tweet your support using hashtag WPMOY challenge. Voting ends on January 8th, so go vote for Tank
Yes.
right now.
Go ahead and do it right now while you're on this podcast listening.
Vote.
was cool.
For Tank.
That was cool, though, y'all.
So sweet.
Tyler Smith,
Sweetest.
man, with the word, of course. I just love seeing him grow. Y'all got a chance to see him, though, last year.
Yeah.
But just me being here, and he's been one of the best guys to actually talk to. So sweet,
Yeah.
so knowledgeable. And I was shocked when y'all told me that he, didn't really talk last year.
Yeah.
But no, he's great. He's great.
I forgot
So sweet.
until he said it. I sometimes forget that he's so young, that he was one of the youngest. I think he's one of the youngest people to come in. If I'm not
He
mistaken.
was one of the youngest in the draft
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think period in NFL, he's one of the youngest players to be drafted. So yeah, I know to hear him talk about his journey and also too to talk about some of the mental and emotional turmoil that these guys go, and how the opinions and all that stuff can affect them. You do have to, be steadfast and have a good support system. It was kind of dope to hear him talk about that too.
It's just so cool to see how much he has grown in 2 seasons, and this is truly just the beginning, and he continues to say that. I'm so impressed by everything he's done, but I'm talking on the field, I'm talking off the field.
Yeah.
The conversations that you can have with him, and you can go on and on and on because he just spews out so much knowledge. Whether you're talking about football or life with him, you'll always learn something from Tyler Smith, no matter what you're talking about. Even in the locker room, I'm like, let's see, what knowledge do you have for me today? Just because he's so smart and he's so willing to share that knowledge with you. And not only that, but he's always a student of the game. We talk about how important that is. You heard him talking about how Tyron and Zach and Tyler Biotish just continue to be resources that he utilizes, right?
Yeah.
He continues to have that learning mindset, and that's hard to find. That's not coachable. That's an aspect that he brings that I think is just so special. And so I'm glad we get to show everybody sides of these players that they don't necessarily get to see.
Oh, yeah. And it's not done because we've got more cooking up for y'all.
Right.
Hello.
Yeah, it was cool to hear him talk about Mike Solari. I think he's a guy.
That's important. I'm glad you asked that.
He's a hire that is kind of under the radar and maybe hasn't been talked about in a whole bunch. But I enjoyed hearing him kind of talk about Mike Solari and the attitude different and the energy and how. Sometimes it does matter when you're being taught how information is being conveyed to you, and to hear he was explaining how it's easier, it's more digestible and everything, but also too the energy from he and Schottenheimer I think has mattered for this offense as well. So yeah, I that was one of the coolest parts, that just hearing him talk about Solari.
But it's not even just him. We hear that with all the players about all these coaches. They bring a different type of energy, and you have to with young guys, especially in this league. So I think it's pretty dope. But I know that we've got to wrap things up.
Yeah, we gotta go. We gotta go. We're gonna have to talk
Miami and Cowboys tomorrow. That's a wrap for today's show on Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys. We'll see y'all tomorrow.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!